I guess we'll call this a triple down or quadruple down. I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going until we get all the truth out there. But this is, hypothetical stuff. And so the question I'll pose is like, which scenario do you think is more likely, or neither? Do you think it's more likely that we'll ever see nuclear war, right? Because that's always been the threat. I think since the 60s, 70s, it's been the threat consistently. The threat of nuclear war. Is it more likely that that happens ever? Uh, or is it more likely that they invent enough neuro weapon technology so that they can mind control the populace that they want to have in place? We'll just reference the Georgia Guidestones. Why not? It's a nice round number, right? So, yeah, and then let's maybe provide some arguments for both. When I think of nuclear warfare, the image that comes to mind is, you know, total destruction, um, like a leveling of all the buildings and whatnot. But what we've seen is more along the lines of directed energy weapons that they've used in Lahaina. Um, you could argue maybe some of the weather manipulation for, I think it was the Carolinas. Uh, but like the forest fires or whatever you call it that are really directed energy weapons, I think there were some maybe in Texas and for sure in California, maybe Colorado. There were a few spots where and I might have some of those locations wrong, but I think it was pretty much verifiable that they were using some type of directed energy weapons to level the area. So if that's the case, like, do they even need to use nuclear weapons, and what's the advantage of doing that? I mean, seriously, what's the advantage of using nuclear weapons if they can, um, use remote weapons and cause a heart attack or whatever, just shut someone down, and there's no entry point, or no physical proof that anything was done to the person. And then if you can apply that to a large scale, right? You talk about these EMPs, right? An electrical magnetic pulse or whatever, but they have these electromagnetic frequency weapons. And it's like, well, if they adjust the frequency just right, could they just, bonk off a large part of the population? And so, you know, if I were to answer the question of what scenario is more likely, if either, um, between nuclear war, total devastation of people and physical structure versus some indication of the technology that likely might already be in place in terms of infrastructure and capabilities, I would go more towards the space weapons. I think that's much more of a likely form of control tool to, um, you know, either reduce the population and or control it with like, you know, again, if they use like a major EMP blast to get rid of people or something of that nature, and then the rest of the people are just, kind of mind programmed or, um, I don't know. Look up the DARPA N3 program.